Life in ancient Sparta was a unique experience. While Sparta is often portrayed as a place of military glory and discipline, the reality of life for the average Spartan was a bit more complicated than that. So, what was life really like for the average Spartan? Let's take a closer look. For starters, Spartan society was highly stratified. At the top of the social hierarchy were the full citizens, known as Spartiates. These were the men who had completed their military training and were eligible to hold public office. Below them were the perioikoi, who were free men but not full citizens, and the helots, who were essentially slaves owned by the Spartiates. Life for the Spartiates was highly regimented. From a young age, boys were taken from their families and placed in military training. This training was brutal and intense, with a focus on physical fitness and combat skills. Boys were taught to endure pain and hardship without complaint, and those who could not keep up were expelled from the training. Despite the harshness of their training, the Spartiates were highly respected in Spartan society. They were seen as the defenders of the state, and their military prowess was a source of pride for all Spartans. However, life for the perioikoi and helots was considerably more difficult. While they were free in name, they had very few rights and were heavily taxed by the Spartiates. The helots in particular were treated as little more than property, and were often subject to harsh physical punishment and abuse. In terms of daily life, Spartans lived a very simple existence. They ate plain, coarse food, wore simple clothing, and lived in Spartan, pun intended, accommodations. They were discouraged from indulging in luxury or excess, and were expected to devote themselves fully to their duties as citizens. Despite this emphasis on simplicity and discipline, Spartans did have a sense of humor. One popular joke among the Spartans was to refer to their food as black broth, a type of soup made from boiled pig's legs and blood. While this may not sound very appetizing to us, it was considered a delicacy among the Spartans, and they took great pride in their ability to stomach it. Another popular joke among the Spartans was to refer to themselves as half-men. This may seem like an odd thing to joke about, but it was actually a reflection of their belief that only the strongest and most disciplined men were truly worthy of being considered full citizens. Despite their reputation for military discipline and severity, the Spartans did have some elements of fun and levity in their society. They held festivals and athletic competitions, and even had a form of stand-up comedy known as paranomasia, which involved puns and wordplay. Overall, life for the average Spartan was a challenging and highly regimented experience. While the Spartiates enjoyed a certain level of privilege and respect, the perioikoi and helots were heavily taxed and subject to mistreatment. However, despite the hardships they endured, the Spartans did find ways to have fun and enjoy life, even if it was in their own unique way. And let's face it, any society that can joke about a soup made from boiled pig's legs and blood must have had a pretty good sense of humor. In addition to their sense of humor, the Spartans were also known for their physical fitness and athleticism. They believed that a strong body was necessary for a strong mind, and so exercise and physical training were a central part of their daily lives. One of the most famous examples of Spartan athleticism is the Spartan race, a grueling obstacle course that was designed to test the physical endurance and mental toughness of the participants. The race included a variety of obstacles, such as climbing walls, crawling under nets, and carrying heavy objects. While the race was not mandatory for all Spartans, it was a popular event that attracted participants from all walks of life. Another aspect of Spartan life that may surprise modern audiences is their treatment of women. While women in ancient Greece were typically confined to domestic duties and had little say in public affairs, Spartan women enjoyed a greater degree of freedom and independence. They were encouraged to participate in physical training and exercise, and were even allowed to own property and run their own businesses. This emphasis on physical fitness and equality between the sexes may seem progressive for its time, but it's important to remember that Spartan society was far from perfect. The treatment of the perioikoi and helots was certainly a dark mark on their history, and the emphasis on militarism and discipline could be oppressive for those who did not fit into their narrow definition of what it meant to be a good citizen. In conclusion, life for the average Spartan was a complex and often challenging experience. While the Spartiates enjoyed a certain level of privilege and respect, the perioikoi and helots were heavily taxed and mistreated. However, despite the difficulties they faced, the Spartans found ways to enjoy life and have fun, whether it was through humor, athleticism, or a sense of community spirit. And while their society may not have been perfect, the legacy of the Spartans continues to fascinate and inspire people around the world today. After all, who wouldn't want to be able to stomach a bowl of black broth and climb over a wall in one fell swoop? Of course, we must also acknowledge the fact that much of what we know about life in ancient Sparta comes from written accounts that were produced by outsiders, and so there is always the possibility that our understanding of their society is incomplete or biased. But regardless of the accuracy of these accounts, there is no denying the enduring legacy of the Spartans. From their military prowess to their emphasis on physical fitness and discipline, the Spartans continue to fascinate and inspire people around the world. And let's not forget their unique sense of humor. Whether it was their love of black broth or their penchant for puns, the Spartans knew how to have a good time. So the next time you find yourself struggling to climb over a wall or stomach a particularly unappetizing meal, just remember, you could be a Spartan, and that would be a whole different level of challenge. Thank you for watching. Let us know your opinion in the comments below. Also check out other videos related to history on our channel.